So we've now got Theo on the table. I've given him a vigorous rubbing with the towel to get rid of all that moisture. And all I'm doing now with a clean coat, just something, I'm extremely vigilant about health and hygiene, so I have lots of equipment that's in the sterilisers in each stage, so I never use this is the comb we used before for the pre-comb, and I'll never use that on the dog again until it's clean. So that goes away for sterilisation. This has just come out of the UV lamp to make sure it's absolutely pristinely clean, no transference of anything. And I'm just going to use the comb on this coat. It doesn't need a brush. Just backwards brush, just a backwards comb, just to allow the air to get right to the skin, and I can lift and pull it away from the skin. So I'm not grating it like that to cause a skin problem and you start sort of giving them sensitive skin. So very gently, just lifting the hair so the air can get right to the skin, because we need the coat to be absolutely bone dry, and of course that means that the skin underneath it has to be completely dry as well. So this is just a great way for Theo's coat to just help to tease up the hair and just help that the drying process gets a bit quicker. Another thing that I have in the arsenal is a soft pin brush. You've got to be very careful how you use it. You want to be able to lift and just pull away from the skin. There's none of this, because again it will go down the surface of the skin of the dog and it will cause irritation. So you just lightly lift and pull. So all that's lifting is all that's touching the dog is the tab and that sort of thing. And so we're just using that. We're just showing you that because with longer coats, and if Theo had a much longer coat, I'd probably need to do a little bit more with that, but very gently and being always obviously aware. So now it's onto the drying stage, so it will get very noisy now. Going to reduce it down. Gentle heat. I like to use a medium heat, so we're not excessively drying off the coat. Theo's got a very light coat, so it doesn't need a lot of heat to get in there. If you're sort of dealing with Malamute or a much hairier double coat breed, then you're going to need a stronger jet of air and obviously a lot hotter, just to make sure you can get in there and dry it off in a suitably good time, really, because you don't want to be putting the dog under a lot of stress for long periods of time with the drying process. Found a few tickly spots there on Theo, and again, as you can see, the soap is really nice. It's giving this wonderful clean texture. Feels clean, it feels really good, and it starts to behave like true clean hair, and that's without any other product, conditioner or anything. It's just that one bar of soap that's done all of this wonderful effect on the dog. Keep on moving the nozzle around, because otherwise if it stays in one place it builds up heat in that area, and we don't want that. Waggle it around a bit, then it just is a little bit gentler for the dog. Of course, all the time just keep checking to see that the dog's nature, he's not being insecure or feeling a little bit anxious about the process. If it does, just take it away, let it calm down for a few minutes and then bring it back on again. In time, if the dog trusts you, he'll learn to trust and accept the process. So it's important always with all dogs that you dry right to the skin. I've seen some dogs that have been just surface dry, and underneath gets all tangled and matted, so you want to make sure that's nice and clean. And furthermore, you won't get a nice clean cut. In fact, your blades and your clippers, your scissor blades will dull very quickly on a wet coat or a damp coat, and you'll pay obviously to send it away to have it resharpened again, and the clippers just won't clip wet coat or damp coat. So you need to make sure that you're extremely tactile here in terms of feeling any dampness right down to the root, right down to the skin. I was learning, if I touch that area it feels nice and dry now, come back to it in a few minutes later and you might feel, oh right, it's not working very well, it's still damp. So just keep assessing it over time, certain areas, and just going over. So now, give that a touch now, that's feeling alright. The other thing to do to help improve your drying time so it's a bit quicker is just to do a bit of combing. The comb will also tell you if the hair is wet because it will just start to stick there. So I know that that area is wet compared to where it's dry and there's nothing to it. One of those key things, and also you want all the hair to be nice and loose, no tangles, so that when you cut your dog in terms of the coat of the dog, you know that you've got the hair working and it's completely loose and there's no tangles, no knots or anything there to stop the process. And that way you can get a better cut, a better finish, whether or not you're scissoring or clipping. Okay, the argument has always been that clippers are strong enough to cut through a dry coat, but if it's all uneven, it's because there's possibly a knot there and it's snagged it at different lengths, so you want it to be as nice as possible, especially if you're doing show trims. And if you've got a really, really high standard like I have. To get the best results you want to make sure that everything is nice and loose and behaving as naturally as possible. So I can see now and feel now, and just to give me extra confidence, I'm just going to run the comb through and see if it's an even feel. There's just a little bit of moisture there, I can feel it sticking there, so I'm just going to work into that area again. Right there, on this side. Just going to let that evaporate, let the heat dissipate, let it cool down a bit. And while I'm doing that, I'll do the other side. Side that we did a few minutes ago, just going to check, so there's just still a bit of moisture sticking there, just in this area here. That's all nice, that's all nice. Just there, a little bit under the armpit, but we'll attack that in a minute. The rest seems okay. So the centre spine is just a bit sticky, so I know that that area is nice and clear now, it's just coming through, there's no resistance whatsoever. Just a little bit here still on the leg. So that's all I'm doing, just systematically going to work through. So I'm going to just do the face quickly. Never ever put the air so the air can go into the ear. So if I just get Theo just to move over so you guys can see. Now I'm blowing the air forwards over his head, not into his eyes. You know, it's a much more passive way of introducing it. You know, the sensation of the air blowing through, and you get this sort of passive lying down, trying to avoid the jet as much as possible. Ears wise, pinch them shut when you're going through. You don't want any air going into the ear and ruining the ear. So I'm just pinching to make sure, and a lot of this here is just a gentle heat coming out. I'm just introducing it slowly, just so that he feels a lot of fuss. There you go. He doesn't like it on his sides. And it's just a slow process, just gently working in. For the chin again, just introducing it from underneath, making sure the air doesn't blow into his eyes and up his nostrils, because that's not going to feel nice for him. So just being aware of that all the time. Sometimes you can bounce the air off the palm of your hand into the face. If it's excessively wet, you can always just keep rubbing with a towel and help diffusing that away. So that helps to get into the face, but very gently, because obviously you don't want to upset the dog. And some dogs will let you know very quickly, within an instant, I don't like that. So just be wary. So I'll crack on with this, and we'll see you when he's all done and dusted.